back live at Peter's Diner on the Paul Dilks for Congress show. We're at Peter's Diner in Williamstown. Come down, have a great meal here. Paul has a special guest that's running for town council in Washington Township. And Paul, you want to introduce the guest, please?
Oh, absolutely. She was on our show in Washington Township. Actually, I think Rich dominated most of the conversation, so I thought it's only fair to have Sue. Sue Pacewic is running for council, and we are going to shake things up in Washington Township. So, Sue, welcome aboard.
Paul, thank you so much for inviting me back. I always enjoy our conversations, and it's funny that I felt like it's almost like you read my mind when I came here today as to kind of the things that I wanted to talk about. And I walked in and I saw your little declaration of independence there, and I found that highly ironic because when you say King George, we assume that solely resides at the federal level and federal level only. I don't think people realize how many King Georges are walking amongst them at the municipal level.
Well, it's all King George Norcross's minions, and George Norcross carefully hand selects people that he can control all throughout the district. And right now most of the towns are completely 100% under Democratic rule, and we need to make that change. That's the bottom line.
Without a doubt. And I really do like your phrase that says South Jersey needs a leader, not a boss. Well, we need leaders everywhere and not bosses. Boss insinuates that those individuals are hiring you as the American voter. That's not the case. That's not how this program works. The voter is the employer. And
absolutely.
You listen to the voter because they are the one that gave you your job and they are the one that can take it away. And I think, unfortunately, the mentality has changed into thinking that they owe you something. The voters do not owe any politician anything. And the politician's job is to execute what the voters will. And if they voice their opinion and they don't want it done or they don't want something happening in their town, it's your job to listen to them. Those are their tax dollars.
And it's ultimately your responsibility to also, if you don't like it, you need to get out and vote. Right now, as it stands, the Democratic Party has beaten down the Republican Party so much to the extent that Republicans aren't voting because they don't think they can win anymore. Well, there needs to be a new light shining, and if I need to be that light, so be it. But we need significant change, change all throughout South Jersey.
I'm really happy to see that there is this walk away movement occurring as well, because a lot of people that I think that were on the Democratic side are starting to see some of the lunatic policies that are trying to be put out there, like Stephen mentioned, the taxing of tap water, ungodly. And
I'm waiting on the tax, and I'm waiting on the tax of our tax. You know, you pay taxes, and you're going to have to pay taxes on those taxes. I can't wait till someone comes out and says that, but it hasn't happened yet. But I'm scratching my head.
Oh, but
thinking,
we do have that,
could
don't
that
we?
happen?
I mean, they tax your paycheck, and then after you're done and you get your money, then you pay additional taxes on top of that, now, don't you? That's a tax on tax.
Business privilege tax. I love that one. So you're paying business taxes, and then you're paying the taxes to be the privilege of being in business.
Absolutely, and that's and I think a lot of the tyrannical aspects and the King Georges out there are trying to squash economic rights, First Amendment rights, all kinds of rights out there that people are really no longer able to utilize. A lot of the municipalities have issues with their elected officials or hired officials by elected officials trying to silence the people. In Washington Township, being an incident with an older gentleman that was trying to execute his First Amendment right and was shut down, even though in our own bylaws it states that every single member of the public has the ability to speak.
That's correct, and that was a travesty what happened to. And actually, Giancarlo is a good friend of mine, and when I saw him getting cuffed, I was like, "You got to be kidding me!
Right.
You absolutely have to be kidding me!" And it was no one's fault except for the person who Norcross handpicked to be the solicitor of the town, and he's the attorney for the town, and he ran that meeting as he saw fit, and he didn't follow the proper parliamentary procedure. Say that word 10 times, I guess. But it's amazing what leadership feels they can get away with after they've been in power as long as they have. The checks and balances, the appropriate checks and balances in this district really truly haven't been followed. It's been well over 40 years, 46 years since a Republican has been elected to this office.
And even when these leaders are confronted and questioned by the same people that voted for them, it's almost like they take a "how dare you" stance. How dare you question my policies? How dare you question my salary? How dare you question my raises?
Yeah.
And it's almost like you get put in a corner as a citizen, as a puppy dog, and okay, I have to follow what you say. That's not how this works. And we need to bring that back. We need to, council meetings need to be ran in a town hall fashion. A conversation that equalizes the leaders with the citizens. Not you have 5 minutes to do a verbal word vomit and then get down and then I'll answer your question, but you can't speak back. That's not how you conduct a democracy in any way.
And let's go back to the one meeting that you were talking about. Now, at the beginning of the meeting, during the the parliamentarian was allowed to say, during the public discussion of X, Y, and Z, for the sake of timing, we're only going to limit that to 5 people speaking. And he had the ability to say that, but he didn't. So when the person spoke who he wanted to speak, who was on his side, and when they were done, he shut down all public discussion.
Absolutely. And that's really, honestly, isn't his call either, because that's the president's call, the council president's call, and he leaned in.
And the funny thing is, anytime the mayor of that town, anytime the mayor can speak up at any time and put a halt to the meeting,
she doesn't.
And she doesn't. She sits there quietly, and what she should have done is she should have said, you know what, let them speak. And she didn't.
And she campaigned on transparency, and that's honestly, that's not very transparent. If you're going to say about 4 words throughout an entire council meeting and don't stop someone's First Amendment right from being violated, you're not doing your job.
Yeah. So what other issues did you want to address for our Washington Township residents who are listening?
Goodness, that's it. And I don't know if I mentioned this the last time that we were on the show, but I'll mention it again just in case we have new listeners. I put out a survey in Washington Township as to the biggest issues that the residents face, because after all, any policies that are designed in Washington Township should be based off of resident concerns. Number one, 85% of the responses were property taxes being too high, and you can't tax people out of poverty. That doesn't work. What history does say is the more money that is going into someone's pocket, logically they're going to be spending it somewhere, whether it's the local stores or going on vacation with their families and things like that. And being the hard American workers that there are out there, I think they're giving too much money away to local, state, county, and federal level governments.
And one of the issues that I have in particular in Washington Township is their school budget is based on 10,000 students.
Correct.
And right now we only have 7,700. Now, in that situation, what very well should happen is say, you know what, we're going to cut back our school budget because we don't have the amount of students at one time that we once had. And that hasn't happened.
No.
We're still paying taxes based on 10,000
and
students.
we're advised by the state that we are